Okay, something I'd like to talk about is a wall that's already been papered. So you may come to paper a wall, you may come to have a wall that you want to create as a feature wall, and at some time you've or someone else has already papered it, and you need to take the paper off first, of course. A couple of tips that I can give you to make this so much easier. In an ideal world, sometimes you can pull these sheets of paper off from the bottom, get underneath an edge and pull the whole strip off, and you'll see videos of people removing paper like that. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen very often. When it does, you can strip a whole wall in minutes. We're just working on a small section of wall here that's been papered. The reality is most of the time it doesn't come off that easy, but there are a few ways of getting it off. So first of all, before you think about a steam stripper, which you may or may not have heard of, which by process of steam, which permeates the paper and then it lifts off. I'll show you that quickly in a minute, but getting the paper off dry should be your first option. So there are two types of knives to use. This knife here is very rigid. It's called a stripping knife. For this job, we actually need a filling knife, which is much thinner. I'm looking at it now, it's probably half the thickness. It's a thin, flexible blade that you use for filling, but it's ideal for taking off dry wallpaper. Don't use a stripper yet. Use a filling knife or any knife you have with any decorating knife you have with a very thin blade, because what you're going to try and do is get underneath the paper with the leading edge. You just want to try and dig in here. You will do a little damage to your wall sometimes. You need to get underneath the paper and then pull it off. Now we're going down there with the paper, not a lot's happening. In a weird way, what you find is sometimes different directions give you better results. So we're just getting bigger strips now. It might seem a little laborious, but with some papers that are vinyls or waterproof papers, soaking it with water just doesn't help. The first thing people do is to soak papers with water, and if the paper's got a waterproof coating, the water won't go through it. It's not doing you any favours. So if you can get the top layer off dry, and that's revealing the underneath, which is the backing paper. So this is just the top layer of paper. If it's been hung badly and the paste was really weak, you may take both off at the same time, but normally you just manage to get the top off dry, leaving the backing paper there. So what you do is work across your wall, and as I said, you'll find that in one direction, going up or down, it will go better than the other way. So this way, if I pull up, it's breaking off reasonably quickly. Just try different directions, but use the leading edge of your knife just to get underneath, just to give you a start, and then just pull off. You will find when you get big areas where you can take off bigger strips. There we go. So now I've got underneath, I've got a start, so I can work out from here. If I can just get underneath this paper, here we can pull it off. Not happening there, but it's just patience really. Once you get going, that didn't come off very well. I'm trying to look for bigger strips. There we go. You just won't get a whole strip off in one very often. So work across your wall, taking this top layer off. This is possibly one of the slowest. You'll get much quicker results with different papers. You'll be able to pull off much bigger strips. This is probably the worst example to show you for taking the paper off dry, but maybe the best example, because this is how it is. This is the reality of it. Paper doesn't come off easy. So work across your wall, taking the top layer off dry, and then I'll show you how to get the backing off.